Welcome back to Automotive Electronics. We have in front of us, well, in front of me, not you yet, but a 2010 Ford F-150, and customer said that he has issues with this thing coming on and off, and it gets glitchy, acts up, power cycles, etc. going down the road. Anyway, let's get over here where you can see what I'm doing. Alright, and that's exactly like he said. We got some glitchy stuff going on right here with that. Got it to power sweep, so that's good. Alright, got a couple screws here. You got, let me cover this up so you can't see this gentleman's phone number. You got another screw in the back here, and then there's a bunch of clips to get this off. On each end. And come around and get these on this end. Alright, that gets you down to the board in the back. Now we need to get the lens off. Got a couple more clips. And these can be cranky, getting this lens off. Just get it moved away. Come on. There we go. It's real tempting to just pry apart on these things, and then you tend to snap the clip off itself or break these little ears off here, and that's not optimal. Alright, you're going to want to mark the needles at this point. Oh, where's my pencils? I generally just come down to the stop. Make sure you're on camera here, good. Come down to the stop, and I just make a little pencil mark here. You can feel the stops on these. They stop at a point. That's the stop. So you want to mark that stop. Then you want to twist against that stop and pull up. Needles will come right off. And man, somebody has been into this. This is some funky setup here. This is not typical. Not at all typical. So, not sure what's been going on there. That's interesting. That faceplate has been cut and then pieced back together. Somebody was up to some shenanigans for one reason or another. Alright, this board, if you hold a little pressure up on your connector here and start releasing these clips underneath, it'll start rising from its little bed in there. Just want to keep a little pressure on it while you do it. And before you know it, your board's out. Don't lose this. Set that aside. You don't need that anymore. It's just plastic. Alright. Let's get over to our other bench. And we are going to take a look at this puppy and see what we can find. I do have my suspicions because I've seen a bunch of these, but we'll take a closer look. I believe we're going to go to the microscope here, get you underneath there, and I'm going to go right to the meat of what I think is the problem, which is going to be up here. And definitively yes. Alright, you can see these pins are attempting to turn loose because they got the cracks around them. Those little halos all the way around the outside, and that creates that problem of when you move the this one's, yeah, see how much that one's moving right there? Anyway, that's a good example of what's going on. You're just losing connection on these pins. So this one, oh wow, look at that one. Start to get that gap down in there, and nothing's going to work anymore. And man, these have really turned loose. And over the course of time, they just get worse and worse. And when you go down the road, you don't have to worry about hitting a bump. You ain't going to get nothing. Alright, let's come back to this camera. So, once again, super easy fix. This is going to be a short video, and let's check out a couple other things here. Get some power to it. We've got the lights. That's good. My cluster plug is not set up to turn on these LEDs, but that was not a customer complaint, so I'm going to assume that they work just fine. Alright, so we see this area a lot. That's a whole bunch of what we do. This particular model has two different steppers, and the only thing different about them is the size of this shaft. See, a lot of these Fords, the needles will just fall completely off. Not sure why they went that route with things, but that's what they did. So the gray ones and the white ones, they don't interchange because of the size of the shaft. And I just got a question from myself that I don't know the answer to. Probably somebody out there does. You might be able to take the shafts out of these and put in these, and if you needed to use one of these over here. The pinout's the same and the operation's the same as far as I know. It's just the shaft that's different, but then again, you probably need the bigger hole in the housing for the larger shaft, so I doubt that would work. See, I answered my own question. Alright. Yeah, that's not going to work. These here are much smaller than these, so that would not work. So let's get to fixing this one. I told you it was going to be a short video, and we need to make it that way. Now, this does not mean that this will fix every one of these Fords that go bad, because it certainly won't. Sometimes we have more issues. Stay tuned to the channel and you might get to see how we fix those. So we're just going to go individually over each pin. Let me put you under the microscope so you can see this process. Let's get over here into that microscope. And I'll try to do this through the microscope so I can see what you're seeing. So I'm not real good at that, but hey, we're going to try. Alright, so soldering iron on. And just, oh, this is the part I'm not good at, depth perception. My depth perception's gone when I do it like this. Just going to add a little solder to each one of those. You don't need a big blob of solder. Actually, if you watch this, let's see if I can get you in close on one of these. I'm going to go in tight. Oh, quit moving around so much. And refocus. Okay, you see how that one is really turning loose? So there's a couple different techniques. Alright, you can add the solder like I do, which I do just for good measure, okay, but it's not entirely necessary, as you're fixing to see, because as you melt that solder and turn loose, you've remolten that solder, and now you're going to have a good connection. Now let's do that same pin, and I will add a little solder. That is much prettier, much more secure, much more in line with lasting the test of time. So that's what I would suggest. Just add a little touch. You don't have to get crazy. You don't want to bridge the gap between different pins. That's a recipe for the magic smoke to come out. So you want to see a clear spacing when you're done between the pins. I'll give you the standard run down here. The soldering iron. Got a tip on that. Okay, that's pretty close to what you want to see. Alright. You don't want a big old pistol grip version of this sucker. You want a nice pencil type soldering iron. And really, with this kind of work, the smaller the better. I don't think I've seen one that's too small, but sure as heck seen some that are too big. I might even have an example over here. Alright. That bad boy. It's my favorite one out in the shop. Okay? But it's got its purpose. It transitions to a pistol grip. And I like it. It's an awesome soldering iron. But it's for splicing wiring together off of wiring harnesses and etc. Let's get you in here on the microscope again. Let's go with the microscope view. Alright. See that? It can be done. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's real easy. You try to get over here on the side of the pin or something to bridge these two together and drag your solder from one to the other, or etc. This tip is just too big, and quite honestly, in the scope of the world, it's not a very big tip. So there you go. And in comparison, you know, it's not a whole lot smaller, but it's probably a good 50% to maybe even 75% smaller, maybe more than that at the tip. So you want a nice iron. And this is not the delicate work we do. When you get down to start working on something like this processor here, okay, even I would prefer to have a tip smaller than this, you know. There's some techniques for drag soldering and etc. that are useful for those type of components, but nonetheless, this is important. Now, if you want to ask questions about, you know, how much heat am I running? I'm running at 750, which is wide open on my iron. Okay, I'm not afraid of the heat. I control the heat with how much dwell time that I have on the component, and that's how I handle it. I'm used to doing it like that. I've done it for years, and I don't have issues soldering with high heat. If you're one of those guys that is real slow about everything, you might want to turn the heat down a little bit, you know. That way you're not overheating components and etc. What else could I tell you? Flux. Flux works great. If you want to flux these things, Flux makes everything flow where it's supposed to, adhere to what it's supposed to. It lets heat transfer into your component more readily. It does a lot of things. It's like magic juice for all this stuff. Anyway, enough with the soldering lesson. Let's power this bad boy up and see if we can get anything to act up. So now we've got our plug soldered on good, and we see nothing but steady power. Wiggle the heck out of it, and I still have steady power. So I'd say this one's fixed. Now don't go running off. If you're going to run off, at least hit the subscribe button first. Let's go to camera 2. Let's see. You still need to know how to put it back together, right? Alright, let's get set up. Do not forget your plunger, or else when you get it all back together, you're not going to be able to look at your shift resetter, etc. And you're just going to have to take it completely apart when this thing's left sitting on your bench at the end of the day, and you're going, oh crap, what a great job, right up until that point. And you got to take it apart. It's not the end of the world, but it's got to come all the way back apart just to get that one piece in. Alright, your board should snap right back in place, like so. Bada bing. Alright, I'll lift my power plug over here. Now it's time to put your needles back on. Whoa. Guys are bouncing all over the place there. Alright. 2 different ways of doing this. You power it up, set them all on 0. On this particular cluster, you can get away with that. I still have no idea why this is cut in like that. Or you can come back in here, put your needle on about the middle, and then you'll feel that stop. Make sure that stop is adjusted over to where your little pencil mark was. Very simple, very easy. I tend to do it the other way. Let's do it the other way, because I feel like my needles come out more accurately. So, temperature, oil pressure. Oh shit, this is water temperature. And I guess oil temperature. Alright, so those just need to go straight onto the 0 when you're powered up. All of these 3. I just made you guys bounce again, didn't I? Big ass head keeps hitting the camera. Do not press these needles all the way down. I mean, you want to get them down, but you want a little bit of clearance on between the base of the needle and the face. All right. Let's see here. Power cycle this. The needle's kind of off, I think. We're good. All right. And the fuel gauge, if you're setting it like this, you don't want it right over the E. You want it just a little more before it's actually empty. These need to go directly on 0. And especially these, don't sink them all the way down until you can't push them anymore, because you don't want that drag against the faceplate. So I don't know what's going on. There's some funky stuff on the back side of that. I'm not going to mess with that. Alright, there you go. There you have it. The back side just clips on. Don't forget your screws. for the back, which I'm going to take over here and put in because we got the customer information on the back. With that, I've been trying to come up with this catchphrase for a little catchy thing that I'll do at the end of all my videos. And I had one a minute ago on the previous video. And I was like, yeah, I like that. So, here it is. Tell me if you like it. I did my thing. You do your thing. You know what to do. Hit them buttons down below.